enlivening the heart. After beautiful journey of knowing our true desires and creating the world of true desires, we are here to make our heart alive. Why? In chapter number 4, we learned that we have all the wisdom. We are connected with that supercomputer through our heart. That's why our heart needs to be awakened, enlivened, full of life. We will understand the topic and the chapter deeply. Before that, let us go into the silent moment to gather ourselves here fully in this present moment. So just relax, close your eyes with a deep breath in and out. Drop everything behind. Come to this present moment. Center at your heart space. We are just awakening the knowledge, the wisdom within. Every week, we are just adding or just making a garland of what we already know. There's nothing new that is going in. But now all our practices till this time will be rewarding. So let us take a deep breath in and out to open up ourselves. To drop any notions that we carry, that we already know from such and such sources. When Babaji is presenting us, he is presenting us fully. So let us receive from his heart to our heart the divine knowledge, the light, to enliven our heart. Let us thank Babaji for guiding us on this journey of unified. Thank you, Babaji, and lots of love. Take a slow, long, deep breath in and out. And we are ready to open our eyes. And we will proceed with chapter reading today. So very interesting. Who is going to read today? Welcome, Shailesh. You are on mute.
Yes, yes. Okay, let us start. So Jayaji is going to do the reading today. Let's. I made you co-host so you can unmute yourself anytime you want. Okay.
Unmute.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
Okay.
So
Enlivening the. Oh, yeah. I cannot see that. Enlivening the heart. Mm-hmm. Okay. Thank you. God knows everything. Every law of nature is part of that thought of God which created everything. The interaction of molecules, the seasons, the states of physical matter, the spiritual worlds, gravity, and time, the nature of love, the purpose of mankind, the balance of nature, galaxies, and on and on. God knows it all. He knows it consciously. That is, it is His thought that contains all knowledge.
Right, thank you. So, the very first sentence, very small sentence, God knows everything. Um, just give a moment to digest this thing. God knows everything. Okay? And hopefully, your self, your inner self, or your higher self is now ready to accept this. I wouldn't say higher self, your subconscious should be able to accept this. God knows everything. This is the primary thing, right? After that, we will connect it to ourselves because we are made in the image of God, right? So, God knows everything is the primary basis, fundamental of this chapter. Every law of nature is part of that thought of God which created everything. So, that one thought of God created everything, and every law of nature, law means the way nature works, the uh, the the framework with which nature functions, that entire thing is part of that one thought of God. It's already created there. Okay, now what are the examples he is giving? Pay attention to the examples. He is not talking about the number of rooms in my house or how much money I have in my bank and stuff like that, right? He's talking about what God knows. Interaction of molecules, the very fabric of matter. Every matter, physical thing that we see is made of molecules. And how do those molecules interact? Then he talks about the seasons. How nature changes itself with time. The states of physical matter, how the physical matter behaves. The spiritual worlds, the things that we do not perceive, right? Gravity and time, the nature of love. Think about each one of these terms is meaningful. The purpose of mankind. Why is humanity here? It just, other than humans, everything else is of one category. Humans is another category. They are two different, I would say, classifications of existence. Humans and the rest. Humans have what we call as free will, ability to reprogram the program that we came with. Everything else is pre-programmed, right? They do not reprogram themselves. That is the difference. We are able to, like artificial intelligence, right? Artificial intelligence can learn by itself. That is the ability, right? That's why it's called artificial intelligence. So we are that way different. Why is then humanity created, right? What is the purpose of mankind? The balance of nature, how nature maintains its balance. We as humans create all kinds of problems for the nature, but it knows how to balance itself automatically. The galaxies, the existence beyond this planet, right? All of these, and so many things like that. None of this is talking about our day-to-day things that we are putting our awareness into. So the knowledge that God has is way more than what we are connected with. It's much, much bigger. Like, these are only few examples. His thought contains all knowledge. Right? So this is the summary of this paragraph. Okay, so let's go forward now.
Yes. Sir, I can't see you. I think Preeti ma'am is pinned herself.
Okay,
So,
okay, yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Is that better?
Yes.
No.
Okay.
Okay.
By now, you know the logical extension of God's omniscience. You also know everything. You are that one and same thought. Everything in that thought is there for you to know and think. You only need to tune into that thought and ask whatever you want to know.
Correct. So now think about how that thought, that one thought of God, which has got everything, it knows everything, by logical extension of God's omniscience. Omniscience means um, knowing everything, God's ability to know everything, right? By logical extension of that, we also know everything because we are made in the image of God, right?
Mm.
So that's the direct implication, the extension of God's knowledge. And you are that one and the same thought. Because we are part of that thought, we are one with that thought. We are one with that all knowing intelligence, right? Through that just simple logical extension. This is how the mind can understand it. Everything in that thought is there for you to know and think. Now, because I am part of the thought, everything else in the same very thought is for me to know and think about. It's there, right? I am connected to it. So I can know and think about it. You only need to tune into that thought. That's the simple procedure. What we have to do is simply tune into that thought, whichever thought you want to pick, because the thinking process is happening in the mind, and that mind has limitation. I can't think everything together. I can think part by part. So for doing that, I have to bring my awareness and the focus to one particular area in which my mind wants to think. So that is the tuning process. So you tune into that thought. Well, okay, today I want to tune into Osho's intelligence. Okay, sit back and surprise yourself. Trust me on that. I do it. And you will be surprised what comes out. Okay, so tuning it. So this whole chapter is about tuning into that all-knowing intelligence. How do you tune into that? This is what we will eventually, at the end of the chapter, we will have a foolproof system. Okay, this is the purpose of this chapter. But the title, as Preeti mentioned in the beginning, Enlivening the Heart, how you would think, why is the title like that? And it's basically we are talking about all-knowing intelligence, right? So the process of tuning into the all-knowing intelligence is to exit from the mind and go into the heart, because that's where the connection is. That's why we want to enliven the heart. So we will talk more about enlivening the heart a little more. So, okay, please go forward.
How silly it is, then, that you make mistakes. How silly it is to wonder what course of action is in your wisest interest. The answers are all there. There's no need to guess or fumble.
Right? So when I am already part of that all-knowing intelligence and it is available to me for access, he says, isn't it silly that I make mistakes? I am part of that all-knowing intelligence which doesn't do mistakes, but I do mistakes. Isn't it silly? And we will know a little more little later that because we don't tune into that, we are not used to tuning into that all-knowing intelligence. That's why we make mistakes all the time, right? So yeah, please read forward.
Okay. Suffering of any kind arises only when you aren't tapped into that knowledge. Suffering results from mistakes, and mistakes are not taking and using the knowledge that is yours. You miss the take, mistakes.
Right? How beautifully presented, right? The suffering of any kind arises only when you are not tapped into that knowledge, right? When we are not tapped into the knowledge, what is happening? We are then using the local part of knowledge that we have in the mind,
Mm.
and that is incomplete knowledge because of limitations of the mind. So that incomplete knowledge is the source of our mistakes. We miss on taking what is available to us. That is what he calls mistakes, right? So because we miss on what the universe has presented to us, we don't take it, we go into suffering. Universe has given us this all-knowing intelligence, but we don't take it. That is what he's calling as mistake. And mistakes are the cause of all the suffering that we go through. All right. Yeah, please read forward.
Now, there is no excuse for errors or suffering or simply not living your life to the fullest. You know your origin and you know you share in God's all knowingness.
Correct. Good. Isn't it so simple? That now he says, now that you know, you so far you did not know, it's okay. But now that you know that you are connected to that all-knowing intelligence, now there is no excuse for errors or for suffering. You don't really have to suffer anymore. You don't have to create mistakes, right? You you are going to now share in God's all-knowingness. Now you can share. You have the access. You will, by the end of this chapter, you will create that mechanism of accessing it. All right. Please read further.
Furthermore, now you are in tune with your higher self and that source of all knowledge. With such awareness, every impulse of yours is naturally correct and perfect to bring you experiences filled with all of God's qualities.
Ah, this is now what he's talking about. If we are beginning to remain unified with our higher self, that in that state, when we are heart centered, we are living in the heart. In that state, we are tuned to the higher self automatically, right? With such awareness, every impulse of yours, every impulse that's coming from within is or naturally correct because we are tuned. When we are tuned to the all-knowing intelligence, everything that we think, everything that we do will be aligned. That's the mechanism, right? So um, it's naturally correct and perfect to bring you experiences filled with God's qualities. So we will experience God's qualities by tuning in to all-knowing intelligence. That's the significance of this whole thing, right? The purpose, the very purpose as to why we are doing all this. All right, let's go forward.
You may not intellectually understand everything there is to know. The intellect is such a small part of you. It's in your head, while the connection to all intelligence is in your heart. In your heart, you know what you're doing is right, even though your intellect may not understand and may even argue against it. The intellect is limited to the sum total of your experiences since you separate it from your higher self. The intellect assumes that you are a separate and lone being. That's fantasy. What your head can tell you is based on a fantasy.
So a few things that he has mentioned here, which are assumed that you would already think like that. So there are certain assumptions here. So we'll go through this quickly, right? You may not intellectually understand everything there is to know. Intellectually means from the mind. You may not be able to understand everything that there is to know. Now, this is a funny thing here. Everything that is to know. That means there are things which we don't need to know. That's the natural logical thing about it, right? So we don't need to know everything, but then there are things that we need to know, and for that, uh, the mind is not intellectually able to understand every part of it, every part of that which is there to know. The intellect is a small part of us, right? It's in the head, while the connection to the all-knowing intelligence is in the heart. So, see the beautiful deeper thinking about it is that why is the connection in the heart? Why not directly in the mind? Right? This is what we keep using all the time, but the connection is in the heart. Why is it so? Think about it. I still am thinking on that subject. I'm not very clear, but there is a purpose to it, right? There is nothing is created without purpose. So we need to, that's the part of my learning going on these days. In your heart, you know that what you are doing is right. In the heart, you know, whenever that thing from within is there, when you are doing something, what we call as conscience, that comes from the heart. Right? Your conscience keeps telling you, if you are trying to do something wrong, your conscience is telling you, don't do this. Right? That is the intelligence from the heart. Okay? Your intellect may not understand and may even argue against it, that there is more intelligence elsewhere. Your intellect will say, well, everything that is to know, I know. Okay? The intel now is defining what intellect is. The intellect is limited to the sum total of your experiences that you have had since you separated from the higher self. So when our ego got created, our ego is the barrier between us and everything else. That's when that got created, we separated ourselves from the higher self. That is the point of separation. Now, from then on, all the experiences that we have been having in our life, a sum total of that is what we call as our intellect. That's what is there in the mind. Sum total of all my experiences since I remember. That remember is from the time when I separated from my higher self. It happens to all of us at some stage in our childhood. We are learning and then we separate. So the intellect assumes that you are a separate and lone thing. So that separation called ego is only in the mind. It's not a physical separation, right? It is not even an existential separation. It is a thought. Ego is just a thought. Now, that thought, ever since it came, and thoughts are illusions, right? So he says, intellect assumes that you are separate and a lone being, and that is fantasy. It's just fantasy. You are fantasizing that, well, okay, now I'm separate. Now let me imagine how the experience will be. And that imagination is the mind. What your head can tell you is based on a fantasy. Whatever the head is telling you is based, he says, it's based on a fantasy. And what that fantasy is, I am separate. That is where it starts. And now that I am separate, it's sometimes I equate this to going into the shower. When you go into the shower, you feel that now nobody is watching. I am separate. I am by myself, right? And in that state, you would want to sing, you would want to dance, you would want to make faces. I do it all the time. I make faces all the time when I am in the shower because I feel that, okay, I am now separate and by myself in that state, right? So we fantasize. That is how we are. Because we have this illusion of being separate. That was the intention for assuming that we are separate. Now that I have assumed I am separate, I can fantasize. I can create any fantasy in my head. And that's where the entire thing starts as a as a human being. Okay, please go forward.
Can I add something more? An example here?
Yeah.
Like you gave example of Osho's intelligence, right? So, and it talks about the intellect or the knowledge known from our own existence, right? So it means whatever has happened so far, all that mythology, all that Vedas, Upanishad, whatever we think is out there, or somebody's experiences also, we are all connected to that. So if we want to know anything, it is at our heart center. When we go there and we access that wisdom, we want to know that will, that choice, if we make very strong within. So we can go and tap into those knowledge. Means everything that has happened so far is known to us. And whatever is remaining is the time to come, the future. It is also known to us. So, and we have the access in our heart center. So the intellect that says this personality intellect, or maybe even your lifetimes of intellect, the knowledge, it's not just that. You can access the entire knowledge throughout the time, whatever it is. So that's a very powerful thing.
Yeah, and think of it like you on your phone you take photos, right? Anytime you go somewhere, just for memory, you take photos. But they are not all the photos that you have. All your photos are also being backed up on Google Drive, right? Google Photos. That's where your photos exist. All the ones that you have taken. And whenever you want to browse through those old pictures, you go to Google Photos and browse, right? This same thing happens here also. Our experiences from the time we separated are here in my phone, and my Google Photos is through the heart. That's the connection. So heart is the gateway to the God qualities actually, right? Experiencing God, experiencing that all-knowing intelligence, the ultimate whatever that is, right? To access that, the gateway is through the heart. This is what we are learning here now,
A
right?
good example, I can access to your photo as well on Google
Ah,
Drive, like
hmm,
that.
hmm.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, please read forward.
The heart doesn't deal in fantasy. It is your connection to your whole self, to all intelligence, and to all truth. It leads you to right action, to fulfillment, to success, and back to wholeness.
Right. So now heart doesn't deal in fantasy, and that's the difference. The primary difference is heart deals with facts, the reality, right? Its connection to your whole self. It is connected to all intelligence and to all truth, the real truth, the absolute truth, not the fantasized truth. In our state of fantasy, we assume certain things to be true because this is what my senses are telling me. I consider it to be true, but that is also fantasy. That's the important difference to know, right? That the truth, the absolute truth, is accessed through the heart. It leads to the right action, to fulfillment, to success, and back to wholeness. Back to wholeness means unification, unified, being unified. That's what it leads to ultimately. We being unified. Now, um, the the subtle thing that to understand here is that the truth, the absolute truth, may not be all rosy and comfy and cozy as your fantasy. In your fantasy, you want everything to be good and nice and cozy and comfortable. But the truth could be otherwise. So, when we utilize the all knowing intelligence, we may have disagreements between the truth and the mind, the fantasy of the mind. They may disagree. That is what we need to be prepared for now. Okay, but what he's saying is the all-knowing intelligence will always lead you to right action. Right action sometimes maybe kill this. Think about it. Mind will say, oh, no, 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 let us not do this. It's bad. But all knowing intelligence sometimes will say, like Krishna's told Arjun, just go and kill these people. That comes from all knowing intelligence. That at that time, the truth demands that. Okay? The truth. So, the right action, and that action will lead to fulfillment, to success, and bring us back to our wholeness. That is the purpose. So going back to the wholeness is the ultimate purpose. Okay? And for that we will have to deviate from our fantasy sometimes. All right. Okay, please read forward.
That's why the emphasis this week is on enlivening your heart. The first day this week, you are to write out a creating formula to do just that. The claim section is simply I claim now that I enliven and empower my heart to bring me my all knowing intelligence.
Okay, so now that we have a tool to manifest, this is what we are going to do. Now we will do a creating formula and create this truth for us. Make this in as part of our manifestation. Um, this is why the emphasis this week is on enlivening your heart. That means pay attention to the word enlivening. Enlivening, this word is specifically here for one reason, that you do have the heart. We all have the heart, but it is in latent state. It is sleeping. It is in latent state. And now we have to enliven it. Okay, wake up, wake up, wake up, and enliven it, right? Let us make it like a living being, right? Make the heart, enliven the heart, give it the life that it needs to. Okay, that's the purpose. And for that we have to create this formula. I claim now that I enliven and empower. Not only enliven but also empower. Now this is one more introduction here. Empower my heart to bring me my all knowing intelligence. So it's mine. That all knowing intelligence is mine. And now I am going to enliven and empower my heart to bring me that all knowing intelligence. Now, what is the purpose of empower here? Enlivening is one, that's okay. I'm waking it up, I'm making it just like a living thing. But empowering, the purpose of empowering here is that I now prioritize that part of me, the heart. I'm empowering it, I'm giving it more focus. Usually I am with my mind. My total powers I have given to the mind, okay, drive me. But now I am shifting that power from mind to the heart. That is the purpose of empowering. Empowering means now when things come from mind and from the heart, I am going to prioritize the things coming from the heart. That is the purpose of empowering. So I am giving more power to the heart than to the mind. Right? So this is, he has prepared it a very clean statement for your creating formula. Okay, so you get the elements of this formula, right? Enlivening and empowering the heart so that it can bring me my all-knowing intelligence, right? So it's specific to me. Okay, please read forward.
Use your quiet period today to discover what thoughts you have that inhibit your heart from opening up to all knowledge. Deal with those thoughts in the fourth section of the formula.
Okay, so usually what we have done to date, we have been creating thoughts that are suppressing the heart, that are closing, shutting down the heart, right? So in our we have to discover those thoughts. What are my thoughts that inhibit my heart from opening up to all-knowing intelligence? What are those thoughts? There are thoughts which are actually blocking my access to the heart. Okay, they are inhibiting. So deal with those thoughts in the fourth section of the formula. These are the two things, right? In the formula you have learned that first two sections and last three sections, they remain the same. The in between two, the third and the fourth, they are the ones you will be constantly changing depending on your purpose, right? For what you are creating. So in the third section, he has given you a statement. I claim now that I enliven and empower my heart to bring me my all-knowing intelligence. This is the part 3. Now in the fourth part, you will deal with means you are going to work on those thoughts. So first know which are my thoughts that are inhibiting my access to my all-knowing intelligence. This is what we will, and once we know the thought, we will deal with those thoughts in the fourth section. Okay, please read forward.
After you have written out your creating formula for your heart, become comfortable and familiar with each section. You want to repeat it easily without the paper at least once a day this week. Remember to be centered in your heart when you say or think of the formula. Feel the truth as you think of each section.
Right? So this will be our this paragraph is going to remain standard for every week from now on. Whenever we create a creating formula, whenever we make a new creating formula, this is what we are going to do, right? We have to write it down, okay, and uh, become comfortable and familiar with each section of that formula. You have to write and then become comfortable, understand it fully well. Then you want to repeat it easily. So you want to kind of memorize it. You should be able to repeat it without the paper, right? So whenever you think about it, just repeat that formula, okay? And then remember to be centered in your heart when you say or think of the formula. So at that time, when you are using the formula, be centered in your heart. Because now you are bringing your complete awareness to that objective. By centering, you bring your total awareness to one. And that one is my creating formula. I am putting all my energy to my creation. That's what I am now creating for myself. So do that. Bring your center in your heart and say or think of the formula. Feel the truth as you think of each section. Feel the truth of it. Now here you can't avoid any section. All these 7 sections, one by one, as you go through your formula, feel it. God and I. First 2 sections. This alone is something we have been practicing it from the very first chapter. We have been practicing God and I. But now we are going to use it every time we do the formula, right? So feel every part of it, God and I. And then what? I claim now that I enliven and empower my heart to bring me my all-knowing intelligence. And then the fourth section, whatever fourth section you have created, because that will be your specific, that you have gotten through the thoughts which were holding you from accessing your heart. Such of those thoughts, you have to now create substituting thoughts. That's what we learned in the last week, right? You first find the thoughts which are inhibiting, and then you create substituting thoughts to release what you were holding, and then substitute with new thoughts. That will be part 4. And then part 5 will be accept with forgiveness and love, with thanks, right? Forgiveness and thanks. And then we are going to release it to the nature, to nature's law, and click the submit button, right? So that's the process. We will this is one process that you will use every time you do a formula. Okay, so make note of this when you are reading through this chapter later on tomorrow. Every day you will be reading this particular paragraph. Make a note of this separately, because this is going to be a standard practice. Okay, just make a note of this. All right, let's go forward. Now this is in this chapter he has given us more homework this week, right? There is more homework. So first part, we do every week, we do one thing, but this is now this week second thing, very important thing. On the side, do one more thing. Yeah.
The second and every other day this week is your time now to practice a new tool for tapping into that all knowing intelligence. This new tool is a kinetic signal from your higher self for a yes and a no. Actually, you may already have such a signal. A chill up the spine when you're about to say or do something evil or inappropriate is common. Some people experience sweaty palms or a twitch someplace. These could be various forms of signals from your higher self. You may not remember any now, but as you become more familiar with signals, some will dawn on you.
Right. So this is the second activity, and the purpose is again tapping into the all-knowing intelligence. To tap into the all-knowing intelligence, it is think of it something like this. You have a huge storehouse of things for you. Okay. So first thing, by doing your creating formula, you are opening the door. You have opened the door. Now, what do? Everything is there in front of you. What do? How do you get information from there? To get information from there, you have to develop a tool. Now you have to communicate with the heart. How do you communicate? You have to ask a question and then be able to receive a response. Right? So you are now going to develop your language, the communication system with your heart, so that you are certain of the answers. Right? You are certain. Your language is understood by the heart. But when heart is telling you, you have not learned that language. So we have to, the easiest thing to do start communication is at least know yes and no, right? When you are, let's say, when I went to China, the first thing I learned was how to say no and how to say yes. So everything else I did not know in that language, but saying yes and no was helpful in most situations, right? That's how it is. So now we are developing that yes and no, learning how will I signal yes and how will I signal no. Okay, and the same thing you are expecting your higher self to do with you. So when higher self says yes, you should understand that this is a yes. Okay, that is what we are. Sign language. You must be playing cards. Sometimes you set signals with your partner. When I have hearts, I will be taking out my tongue, right? You set signals. That's what we are doing here. Yes and no signals we have to develop, right? And sometimes if you remember from your early days, or maybe even now, you may be having, when you are about to lie to somebody, you get an internal indication, don't do it. How does that come? In some way, shape or form it comes. And what he's saying is it will be a kinetic signal. Kinetic means a movement of muscles, right? So this kind of a signal that you can get, kinetic signal, is a movement of your body, some part of your body. That's the kind of signal we are now trying to create. You may already have some, but if you don't, he's going to teach us how to do it subsequently, right? Okay, so you may not remember any of your earlier signals now, but you can become familiar with signals. Some will be, when you are practicing this, you will suddenly remember your old signals. Right now, you may not remember, but suddenly you will remember, oh, yes, in my childhood, when I did not want to go to school, I used to tell my mom, I have pain in my stomach. And that pain in your stomach was actually your signal. And you may have felt it also sometimes. Or chill down your spine, something of that nature. Sweaty palms. These are all indications of a signal coming from your conscience. We used to call it conscience, right? The moral authority within me. That's what we used to think about. Okay, so that's the kind of thing we are talking. The language from of the unknown within us that we are now trying to establish. So he is going to teach us a process. Okay. Yes, please read forward.
You are in charge of what signals you want. Always remember that. You are not a victim to any particular signal. If you feel it is too obvious to anyone watching, or if it hurts, or if you just don't like it, you can tell your higher self to give you a new one. This is true with all signals, even the main signal from your higher self, as well as the new yes and no signals you learn this week.
Okay, so about he's now giving a background, what to expect from a signal, right? What kind of signal? It's he says it's up to you. Whatever you want, you are in charge. Uh,
Mhm.
Once again, I take you back to the example of setting your language with your partner playing cards, right? When you're playing cards, at that time, I don't know if you have played the game we used to call it court piece in with cards. You have four people playing and two opposite sitting partner, and this is the other team, and you play. Now in that game, what you do, how do you disclose your cards to your partner without showing? You do use your sign language, and also you make sure that your signals are not understood by others, right? You want
Mhm.
to, because if I'm showing my tongue, the other two people will know that this guy has got a very powerful suit in hearts, right? That's what they should not know. So if, say for example, when I was playing, my tongue was signaling something else. Actually, it was spades, not the hearts. My partner knew that, and it would confuse the others also, right? So what he's saying is, if you feel it is too obvious to anyone watching, or if it hurts, if it's physically not comfortable, or if you just don't like it, you can tell your higher self to give you a new one. Okay, so when you are going to ask your higher self for a signal, at that time choice remains with you, in for whatever reason, right? Reason could be anything, but you can always choose a different signal. Okay, this is true with all signals, like not just this yes and no signal. Even your higher self signals that we have practiced about two signals from higher self already, right? One is are you there, that signal, right? So when you first connect with your higher self, you ask for his signal, so that you know that you are now connected with your higher self. That was the first signal. Now the second signal we developed earlier on was for uninvited influences. Are they present? The higher self used to trigger a signal into you that there is something you need to work on. Look at it. That was the second signal, right? So what he's saying is, this logic that you can choose the signal is true for all the signals you establish with higher self. Okay, so this week we are establishing a new signal, yes and no. Two words, just these two. Focus on only these two, forget about everything else for now, for this week. Okay, so now is the process, how you are supposed to ask for the signals. Yes.
Now sit comfortably with your head and spine very vertical. Settle down with your attention in your heart. Get your higher self signal and communicate for as long as there is the feeling to do so. Then say, Dear name, my higher self, please give me a yes signal by rotating my head from right to left 3 times. Sit easily with your head as though it were sitting on a pivot. Don't resist any movement. Let it gently swing to the left and then back to the point of beginning. It will repeat this 3 times and your higher self signal will return. Practice this yes signal several times.
Okay, so now the steps are standard, right? We sit comfortably, center ourselves, and ask for our higher self signal for communication, right? The first signal we developed with higher self. That signal will come that, okay, now higher self will say, okay, I am here, I am communicating with you. And that's a persistent signal. It will stay there, right? You will know that higher self is still here. Okay, and then ask for this. My dear higher self, please give me a yes signal. And now you're telling also what signal to give. By rotating my head from right to left 3 times. So how far it will go is up to you. Just leave it loose. Leave your neck loose. Sitting straight on spine makes your body independent of the lower part. When you sit straight on your spine, your upper part becomes more like a pivot. You can swing either way, right? So then at the time when you are sitting in that way, relax all your body muscles and then ask your higher self to give you a signal by moving your head from right to left 3 times. So what will happen? I'm just going to demonstrate it to you. What will happen is your head will move like that and then come back. It will move like that and come back. Move like that, come back. So 3 times like that. It will happen automatically. But initially, if it is not happening automatically, do it deliberately. Don't worry about where, oh, it's not happening to me. No, you do it. If it is not happening naturally, you do it. The very purpose of doing this is you are training your muscles actually. Your neck muscles will be trained to create the signal. So what basically you are doing is between you and your higher self, you are setting this as a language, a signal. Okay? Whenever we are communicating with each other and saying yes, this is what should happen. This is what should happen, right? Now, initially, you may have to keep doing it deliberately. But once you do 100, 200 times this thing, you will have to practice a lot because you are training your muscles, right? This is part of your subconscious programming. Actually, it's programming. So what will happen is your subconscious will understand a certain muscle movement as part of a program, which means yes. So whenever there is a thought called yes, the muscular movement will do this automatically, right? Just like you stand up and start walking automatically, this will become a natural response of your body. Okay, so initially you may have to do it deliberately. In some cases, if it's happening naturally, perfect, but still practice it. My thought is that within the week, if you practice hard enough in the sense like at least 200-300 times, practice it, right? So over these 7 days, do it several times, that many times. Same thing you will have to do. You will learn the no signal also. Same thing you will do with that, right? 200-300 times, do it. And your system will then recognize that yes, when the thought is yes, this is what happens. This is what happens. Okay. So doing it deliberately is not wrong. First, this is what I'm telling you. This is because you are programming. You are telling the higher self that that's my signal. And now, this is not the only signal. In the previous paragraph, he said, if this is not comfortable for you, you can set up any other signal. You can set up any other, but it should be a kinetic signal for the body, muscular movement basically. Anything that moves your muscle, let's say fingers. You can have your hand like this in your lap and say, okay, if there's a yes, move my index finger up. Make this as your signal. You can do it, right? And if the answer is no, make my ring finger up. Whichever way, right? So you have to train your muscles that way. Some people do this actually. They clasp interlock the fingers like this, and their signal is, if it's a no, this will not open. If it's a yes, it will open. Right? That's another way. So the I'm giving you the examples, not to confuse, but telling you that you have a choice. You can make up your signal, but then consistently practice it 200-300 times. Once you have practiced it, your system will adapt that language. Right? These two signals, yes and no signals, are going to help you all your life, not through the unified course. These are skills you are developing for the rest of your life. So for the rest of your life, to get an answer from your higher self, you can use these signals. Think about it, how powerful this damn thing is. So devote your time. This is worth your time's investment. Devote this time into this practice, because it's a very, very important skill you will develop for yourself. Remember this. I, I, it took me 1 year, by the way, for me, because nobody was there to teach me. Now I am telling you from my experience. There was no one to tell me or teach me. I practiced and practiced over a period of 1 year, but not like that much, like 100, 200 times in a day type of thing. That's why it took me so much time. But now my signal is so perfect that I do testing sometimes. Like, say, for example, if I'm talking to Jaya, right? So Jaya and I are on the phone, and I say, tell Jaya, okay, Jaya, think about a yes or a no in your head. Don't tell me. I will tell you what you thought, right? And then I use my signal. Okay, what did Jaya think? And my signal immediately tells me she thought a no. Okay, that's and it always is true, that signal, because my higher self is connected, knows what Jaya is thinking, right? And he says yes, no, like that. This is how powerful this technique is. Once you have mastered it, you will know it. Okay, that's why I'm asking you to invest time with this. Okay, please read forward.
When you feel comfortable with the yes signal, say, Dear name, my higher self, please give me a no signal by rotating my head from right to left once. Then relax again and allow your head to rotate to the left and return to its original position. Practice this signal several times.
Right. So your no signal is simply one time, right? Right. Your yes signal was rotate 3 times, and no signal is just one time. That's about all, right? That's the difference between the two, and you have to practice them separately, right? So yes signal, first you practice just yes signal all the way. Then practice no signal all the way. Then practice alternating the yes and no. He is going to he's telling about it subsequently. So if you read forward, please read further.
I wanted to highlight here this.
Yeah.
It says that practice yes signal, it will repeat 3 times, and your higher self signal will return. It means at a time only one signal will be there, right? So when you are receiving the yes signal, you may not feel your higher self signal. And once you have received it, you may not recognize it. You may recognize it, you may not recognize it. So the higher self signal will return. So after moving this, if you have a higher self signal, something, like pulling your ears or something on your head, or like some whatever it is, it will come back, right? So same with no practice.
Right. So every time you come out of this signal practice, you should have your higher self signal back. Okay, that, and after that you can, once you are done both practices, you can bring your communication to an end in your usual way in which you interact with the higher self, right? So please do that way. Okay, thank you, Preeti. Yeah.
Each day, practice the yes and no signals by demanding the yes and then the no. Mix them up. This week is only to practice the signals. For now, Don't ask questions that are to be answered by the signals yet. Just get them strongly perfected so you can read the yes and no easily. Feel so comfortable with them that you can have no doubts about this process. If another signal comes instead of the rotating head, and if you like that signal, go with it. Your higher self may know that another type of signal is better for your physiology. Again, if you can't stand your yes or no signal, you can demand a different one. Don't, however, demand different signals just to test the process. Tests of this type do not work. It will just make you vulnerable to doubts.
Yeah, so this is a caution. Okay, so he's saying is that you can you when you practice, when you are comfortable with each one of the yes and no, you can alternate them, right? You can mix them up whichever way you feel comfortable. And also, um, for now, don't ask questions. Very important thing here. For now, don't ask questions, just the signal practice. Learn to read the yes perfectly, every time perfectly. Learn to read the no every time perfectly, right? Once you have really mastered these two, then we will go to questions. We will learn how to ask questions. That's a different thing. For now, don't engage in questioning. Usually your tendency will be to test. By questioning, you are actually testing the correctness of signal. Don't do that, because it will create more confusion in your head. You may actually lose your trust on the signals. That can happen, right? It will just make you vulnerable to doubts, right? Don't try to do any kind of testing. Just arrive at that signal which is suitable to your physiology. Come to that, whichever signal that is, right? And then perfect it. Once you have found which is your right signal, it's either this way, finger, whatever in your body, whatever body's reactions are, use that, right? You may have a signal that your right arm feels cold. That could be a signal for yes. And when it's a no, your left arm feels cold. That could be a signal. So all I'm saying is I'm leaving it open for you to determine what your signal should be. It's more whatever is comfortable for you. That should be the signal. This signal will be used so frequently that you need to be comfortable with it as well, right? Not only sure, not only certain that yes, this is the answer, but also comfortable, physically comfortable, right? You are basically, let's say you are sitting in the train and you are traveling and you have a question. Now you don't want to do a drama in public, right? So you have to have a signal which is subtle, which you can do in a public space. People will not even notice that you have asked a question to your higher self and found an answer to it, right? um, I did this when I was learning. I used to have fun with these things. So one day I was practicing and I said, well, okay, this lady who comes to clean my house, let me find out her age. How old is she? And trust me, I got exactly the right age of that lady. I asked her later on, right? The lady who comes to clean my house, she still comes. Um, and I asked her, that was the number, exact number I got. Okay. So you can, figure out such things when you are traveling in a train just for entertainment. You want to do something, you can do it. But the purpose for which we are developing this is for a much higher purpose. At that time, I didn't know enough, so I used to use it for fun. But today, my questions are very different. Now I don't do this kind of questions. My questions are very different that I deal with my higher self, because that is an all-knowing intelligence. I can seek knowledge that is for humanity, that is for benefit of this nature, that is for the benefit of the universe. Those are the kind of things that's my domain of thought. But all I'm saying is, how you can use these signals in all kinds of situation, just for knowing. Okay, you can do that. All right.
Throughout the week, simply be aware that your heart is opening. Trust your feelings, act on them. Your creating formula is enlivening and empowering your heart. This is the connection to God's thought, which is all knowledge. Its input will be in the feelings of the heart. Enjoy it.
I think by now you are starting to enjoy this feeling that, oh my God, now I have a hotline with my higher self. It is just like that,
Mhm.
having a hotline with the Prime Minister. You have that much power now. It's equivalent of that. You are having a hotline with the ultimate power in the universe, the all-knowing intelligence. You will now have a hotline, really, your personal hotline. That's how powerful this thing is, right? So throughout this week, be aware that your heart is now opening, because now you are enlivening and empowering your heart. It's now going to begin to open. So you may feel differently, because heart is all about feeling, right? You will be feeling more. Your feelings will become more prominent. They were earlier suppressed by the mind, but now they will become more prominent, right? This is the connection to God's thought. That's how beautiful, which is all knowing, all knowledge, right? So just enjoy that process. You will begin to enjoy. As you dwell more into it, you will begin to enjoy. So, before I conclude, I want you to think about it. There is one place he is saying that this week is only to practice the signals, right? It's only part two. But our primary focus for this week is enlivening and empowering the heart. That's our primary practice. This is a second thing we are now developing, so that in subsequent weeks we will be using them. Okay, it's an important skill. So this is a second thing we are doing. So there are two things we are going to practice this week. First, primary focus is enlivening and empowering the heart. Second practice is developing the language to talk to the higher self, right? These two things. So with that, I will conclude the reading of the chapter. Thank you so much for Jayaji for beautifully reading the chapter for all of us. Thank you.
So this week, sir, it's just to practice the yes and no signals, not to challenge it, like the
No,
examples you gave.
yes, don't do any of that. Right.
And it
I
has to be done only in your quiet period? Because I was thinking, what if I'm on the train and moving my head left to right? It will look a little bit awkward.
you quiet period is not for practicing yes and no. Of course, when practicing yes and initially when practicing yes and no, you need to be centered,
Mm.
right? Because then only you can connect with your higher self and then go through the yes and no, right? So you have to connect to the higher self, but not necessarily during quiet period. You can do it anytime during the day. Try not to practice this while traveling in the train. Okay. Once you have the signal firmed up, let's say you've done it 50 times and it's consistent now, then you can practice in the train, right? When your signal is consistent, you see that every time I bring yes in my thought, I get this signal. Fine. Then you do it. Then you can do it in the train or wherever. Then your signal now after that is simply you are doing muscular training. You are basically reprogramming your locomotor system to respond in a certain way. Okay, that's what it is. So initially do it in a quiet place so that nobody disturbs and you don't have interference during while reading the signal. Okay, good question, thank you. In the Hindi group this question was asked as well. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, there is a contradiction. It says every other day you practice, and then he says each day practice yes and no signal. So the more we practice, the more convenient it is. But he's also trying to emphasize the practice of enlivening the heart, because once we have the wisdom, all knowing intelligence, we want to trust that, right? And that's why we need these tools to verify what we heard and what we know through our intention. Is it right or not? So, first doing that, enliven your heart, and then you start practicing creating a tool. And then later on, in the coming weeks, we will have all sorts of fun with that.
Yeah, good. So, yeah, Preeti, you want to take it from here? Like
Yes.
meditation or question answer, whichever way.
No, no, let's meditate first, then we can go through the question answer.
Okay.
Thank you, Jayaji. It was beautiful reading and beautiful, wonderful explanation by Shaileshi, as usual. So let us go to the practice, feeling our heart enlivened. How beautiful it is saying that every week, now every day, you will feel your heart is opening. Feel good about it. Something, it was there, and with social conditioning, we made so many slogans with heart that with the songs, we never trusted it. But the actual meaning of heart is something else. So let us sit comfortably, cross your legs, clasp your fingers, all the fingers into fingers, and gently close your eyes. Relax your body, loosen up your spine, keep it straight, not stiff. Breathe in deep. Breathing out, relax. Totally use yourself. This mind, this body, this heart, the feelings that we have now, into nothingness. Just become this breath. By seeing it so keenly. Absorb totally, and just become. This pure energy we are receiving in this moment. Now gently bring your awareness to your heart center and observe the same breath. Relax into this moment. Let your breath to be spontaneous, easy, natural, soft, and feel that breeze at your heart space. With every breath, we are digging deeper, sweeping away the dust from the top, going deeper and deeper. Just like we are diving deep in the ocean of love, peace, happiness, joy, and bliss. Let us set ourselves free and fall freely, feeling safe, comfortable, and relaxed. The more we feel, the more we become. So feel just the heart space exists and nothing else. It is the center of our being, connected with everything. And that supercomputer of God's wisdom, all our wisdoms, or just the wisdom, not yours, not mine. The knowledge of creation, the laws, why we exist. Everything is out there. We are always connected to. Feel that powerful pull at your heart space. Of this all-knowing intelligence, fulfilling this life to success, abundance, the true meaning of human life on earth. Be aware of your center throughout. Let us Feel our whole body as one, and the energy field around us. Feel your expansion from the center. Now let us affirm to expand what we are, what we feel in our heart center. Is felt by my body and my aura. Any darkness, any shadow, anything less than 100% love are those influences we are attached to. Let us clear the channel of communication with our higher self by clearing our aura. So repeat within. To all uninvited influences in my aura, I send love and light. Each one of you are whole and healed. Each one of you are created in love and light, and you are still love and light. Each of you feel no pain now. Don't be afraid. I know a perfect place for each one of you to go, and I request my higher self, take name, to take you there now. Each of you go in peace. Just now, I set you free. You move forward in your journey. And say, I close my aura to all except my higher self. And I send love and light to all the thought forms around me. In the entire creation, there is nothing else but love. We are connected with each other, with love. So we know how it feels like when we are at ease. We are feeling that God's love in every cell of our body. Feel that pulsation at your heart space. the gentle pulsation, the vibration. And feel the strong energy field all around you, the comfort. As if we have become a magnet. Powerful ball of light. Now let us request for our signal from higher self. My dear higher self, take name. Please give me your signal now. The moment we ask or we intend, we get the signal. Be open to perceive. And feel yourself totally. This is the feeling of being unified with our higher self. Breathe in from your heart center and breathe out. Just be there throughout. Now we are ready to receive our message from our higher self. And for the creation, let us make ourselves more powerful, confident, full of all knowledge makes us humble. When we know what we are, what the law of nature is, we can see everybody with God's eye. So let us speak loudly or silently as you feel comfortable, feeling each and every word, speaking from the heart center. Let us rejoice every bit of it. Let us pass this information to every cell in the body. As we feel, we become. Take a slow breath, slow, long, deep breath in and out. And say, God and I claim and accept thoughts of enlivening and empowering my heart with forgiveness and thanks. Amen. Everything that God has made, it is out there for our enjoyment. And we remember to be love, to be forgiving, to be grateful, to claim that. That's the formula of creation. God made this heart, made this connection. We forgot to remind ourselves the power we carry. We kept away, giving our power away, trusting others more than us. Feel it, breathe it. You may want to say it one more time, then repeat with me. God and I claim and accept thoughts of enlivening and empowering my heart with forgiveness and thanks. Amen. Or Tathastu. Or so be it. Our feelings give the power. God is love. God is light, truth. God is happiness, joy, and bliss. Feel it. You may want to speak loudly, remembering all His qualities. God is all-knowing intelligence. God is peace and gentleness. God is abundance. There is no lack. God is omnipotent. Can do anything. God is omniscient, all-knowing. God is present everywhere. He is in everything. God is infinite energy. God is without judgment. Everything is working as it should be, with law of nature, in accordance with the will of God. God is a creator. And I am made in His image. Feel it. I am made in the image of God. Feel the beauty, the worthiness, the existence, who we are, what we are, with all God's qualities in us. We are one with God. That is why just say within, I am love. I am light, truth. I am happiness, joy, and bliss. Feel it. I am all-knowing intelligence. Feel it from top of the head to the sole of the foot. The vibration of this powerful affirmation. I am peace and gentleness. I am present everywhere, in everything. I am omnipotent. I can do anything. I am infinite energy. I am the creator. I am one with God and His thoughts. I am one with everything, as everything is made up of love. And I am love. Love is present everywhere. There are no differences. So I am non-judgmental. I exist. I claim. I claim now that I enliven and empower my heart. to bring me my all-knowing intelligence. And I claim and accept my all-knowing intelligence. I claim and accept my enlivened heart, my empowered heart. As we claim, feel that resistance. What is stopping me to accept it? And let us ask our higher self to guide us through all those thoughts that we carry consciously, subconsciously. And we fail to access this all-knowing intelligence, which is there for us. So let us all speak. My beautiful higher self. Take name. Now please reveal me thoughts that prevent my heart from opening to all wisdom. You may want to start writing or just speak out all your thoughts from here on. Be at your center and be aware of your higher self signal. My beautiful higher self, please reveal me my thoughts that prevent my heart from opening to all wisdom. Do not hold your breath. Just be at ease. Keep on writing whatever comes to your mind without judging or correcting. Just write down. You may receive some images or moments from the life. When we compromised our wisdom, we lived in ignorance and we created the experience of misery. Many a times you have said, I don't know. And that might be our common traits. Maybe till today we didn't know if we have access to such wisdom. So we were living in ignorance, looking for somebody to help us, to end our suffering, because I don't know what to do. Or maybe I'm not that smart enough. Just to see what comes up. Every day. For next 7 days, we are going to practice this. Make this list of thoughts with errors you would come to know. Once we gather today's thought, now let us move to heal those thoughts and release them. So you may pick up your own thought for correction, or you can say along. Now, I heal myself and release the thought that I know nothing. I am less, not enough, not smart, not capable. And affirm that I am the all-knowing intelligence and I know everything. I have access to all the wisdom when I am at my center. It is there to help me, to guide me. You may take your thoughts the old thoughts, and you may want to heal yourself and release those thoughts. And bring up a new thought of empowering yourself. Aligning with God qualities of perfection, wholeness, being love, being gentle and humble. Creation happens in present, so just release and create now. Once all the individual thoughts are released, let us all reaffirm together with a deep breath in and out. In awareness, speak from your heart. I heal and release all my thoughts, known and unknown, conscious and unconscious. That interfere with this claim of all-knowing intelligence. My claim that prevents my heart to open to all-knowing intelligence. I let it all go. Feel that sadness, that feeling of being less going away. As we empower, we do not want to hold on the past. Let it go. Let it release. Let all release such thoughts and replace it with new. So speak or follow me. My thoughts are now one, identical, and in harmony with God's thought. My thoughts are now in tune with God's thought, same as God's thought. My thoughts are in harmony of God's thought. Take our power back, the power of love, the power of friendship, humility, makes us strong. We are empowering our heart with knowledge, with wisdom, capacity to take and give, capacity to know, learn, and live. Feel that heart open. Feel the state of heart filled with love for everyone and everybody from our whole self. My heart is in state of forgiveness, knowing that I am love. I'm here to give love as I receive love from everyone and everybody, from the nature, from God. I thank God for enlivening my heart, for empowering my heart, for opening my heart to all-knowing intelligence. Now, let it all go. All that we have created in a formula is bundled together with our feelings. So let it go and say, now I submit. I leave this claim to God and the natural laws of creation. My claim is now created in the order of the law of nature. In accordance with the nature of natural law. Amen. So be it. Tathastu. Now for every thought, make your own creating formula. You may want to write it, grasp it, correct, and then affirm. Collectively, let us reaffirm. God and I claim and accept the thought that I am all-knowing intelligence and I know everything. I am capable, smart enough. I am worthy. With forgiveness and thanks. Amen. You may have your own list of thoughts which we need to correct and put it in this creating formula. Feel comfortable with. Feel rewarded. We have come this far. And since we are empowered with all-knowing intelligence, our higher self is ready to give us a tool to confirm all that we know all that we come to know. So let us develop that tool and ask our higher self to give us the yes or no signal. Just be relaxed. You may want to correct your posture. Check your higher self signal and be at your center in your heart space. And ask, my dear higher self, take name. Please give me a yes signal by moving my head 3 times from right to left. Feel any physical movement or sensation. If the head is not nodding or rotating or swinging, just feel any other sensation. Beautiful. Now check your higher self signal. Is it back? And move forward. My beautiful higher self, please give me a no signal by moving my head right to left only once. If it is not your higher self signal, what it is, Just be open and observe. If the head is not nodding, you may ask, please give me my no signal. You might be familiar with it, already receiving at different times, but you didn't know what it is. Next time when we practice, just observe for the same signal as we ask for yes or no. If the higher self signal is back, it means we have received the no signal. Now let us thank our higher self for empowering us with these tools, for guiding us with the thoughts to open our heart for all wisdom. Let us thank ourselves for taking this opportunity to empower ourselves. Let us thank Babaji for guiding us on this journey of being unified, a human being with full potential of God on earth, living in heaven, creating heaven. Let us commit to this practice all 7 days, as we have been doing so far, reading the chapter, grasping it, making it ours, so that we know why it is important to enliven our heart. This week, allow your heart to open more, to feel more. All sorts of feelings might be totally new, but we are creating ourselves new. So enjoy this journey. Make this a playful game of knowing ourselves, of empowering ourselves. Take a slow, long, deep breath in and out. Feel the joy. And we are ready to come out. from this beautiful state of being ourselves, and we could remain like this, whatever we do, feeling ourselves more alive. Last 1 minute. Thank you for joining me today on this journey. Now feel your hands, your legs, your room, this body. Slowly open your palms and put it over your closed eyes. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. With a beautiful smile, open your eyes and come back. Welcome back. Thank you. Thank you for being patient and staying here. Thank you, Shalishi, for beautiful music. And sorry I asked for a change today.
Thank you. Thank you. It was a beautiful meditation. I hope everyone was able to fully understand the process through this meditation, and you should be able to start practicing now. Anyone has any question? We'll not spend a lot of, already we have had a long session today, so if there is a specific question, you can raise a hand and then we'll try to answer.
Only if we don't understand any part of the practice, you can ask a question, otherwise we'll continue tomorrow. Once you go through the chapter again, the process, the steps, and if there is any question, please clarify.
Yes, Shidamji.
Yeah, good evening, everyone. I just wanted to
Shivanji, after a long break, I see you. I missed you.
I know, thank you. I had to go on a trip which was already pre-planned. That's why. I wanted to know if, like, when we are giving the instruction to the mind for the yes and no, can we give yes for right side and no for left side, or it has to be on the same side?
Anything you choose, you decide.
So that's okay.
Yes, as long as you're able to maintain the consistency, right?
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay. Okay.
ultimately it's like learning a language,
Yeah.
the rules of the language could be anything, but then they are consistent always, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you so much.
Thank you. All right, so we'll bring the session to a close now. We'll get together again. Try doing it by yourself. There will be more questions when you practice it by yourself, you may have more questions. Well, how about this? How about that? Then we can address them tomorrow. Okay. So thank you for being with us. Please do continue the practice. Remember that we have two things to do. One is the focus of this week is on enlivening the heart, and the second is the development of a language with your higher self, right? So these two things separately. Okay. Make sure that you are able to devote time to both, not just one, right? Usually I find that people get distracted to this yes and no exercise and forget the main thing about the week. Okay, so please make sure that you have attention on both areas. Thank you, Master.
More homework this week. As we are learning, we are
Yes.
getting more work to do. But this week will make for things further easy throughout the life.